The next set of tools we're going to look at are the vertical geometry complex tools. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to that area. And I've got the two windows open like we have been on the previous videos. One is my horizontal view and the other is my profile model view. And so I'm going to go into this first one, complex by elements. I'm going to go ahead and select this element, and I'm going to go open up its profile model. And what we have in here in this profile view is we got several elements that are completely individual elements. They're not combined together at all. And so what we're going to do is we're going to complex these elements together. And so I'm going to come over, it's the fourth row down, first icon, profile complex by element. And I'm just going to kind of follow the heads up display here. It says locate first element. Now one thing with this tool is it has a method of manual and automatic. I'm going to switch it to automatic. And if you wanted to at this point in time you could give it a name. And so for this one I'll just call it Route 55 PR for proposed. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select the elements. Again, just like the horizontal complex tool, you got to tell it which way you want this profile to flow as far as stationing. And so we select it. It looks like it's being corded, but in reality that's just a quicker way for them to show you which elements they have. And then once you accept it, the entire element will be created. Okay. The next tool over is the profile complex by VPI. So I'm going to open up that linear elements profile model. And what we have in here is just an existing ground profile. We're getting that from the terrain model. So we're going to go to the second icon, profile complex by VPI. And with this one, I'm going to put in a vertical curve length of, say, I don't know, let's try 300 and see what that looks like. But I'm just going to kind of come over and I'm just going to start clicking, and I'm just going to put one BPI out there and then finish this off, and it's going to keep on going, but I'm going to right click to stop it. And that's all there is to placing a profile by complex VPI. And so I'm going to hit F4. I'm going to look at this alignment. If I wanted to, I could go in there after the fact and change the values that I just placed. And so I can also grab onto the grips and adjust the grades and stuff like that. So okay. Next one down is define profile by best fit. Now with this one we have an issue with this one. Typically it bombs out when you're running this in ProjectWise, and what we have to be aware of is that this is a MODOP baseline proposed feature definition, and so when I try to store the proposed profile, it's going to want to export this on out to a GPK. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this horizontal element, and I'm going to look into its properties. And the GPK that this alignment was stored in was one called 001.gpk. So I'm just going to make sure that's available still in this file, and there it is. Just going to activate it like so. Okay, and I'm going to close it down. So we do have a GPK, and I'm going to try to run this tool, and again it might melt this down, but typically what happens is when you run this tool, you fill out all the parameters and you execute it, and then it just gets locked up. But when you come back into the tool, the profile is there, so we're going to give it a shot. So what we have here is we got a little note here. It says, with this data, use an upper and lower envelope of 5 and -5, a sag crest curve length of 100, and a minimum curve length of 50. And so we're going to go ahead and use those parameters. And the tool is located right here, define profile by best fit. And the first thing I'm going to do is give this a name, and so I'm going to call this, I don't know, Route 55 PR. Okay, and that's a valid Kogo name, so that should work in Kogo. And again, the upper envelope is going to be 5, lower envelope is going to be -5. The crest curve length, we wanted 100. Sag curve length, 100. And a minimum curve length of 50. Okay. And so I'm going to come over, and it says we're just going to follow the heads-up display now. Make complex element. Locate profile to fit. We're going to pick that. You can see the upper and lower limits of 5 on both of those. And then the best fit parameter, curve length of 100. Sag curve length 100, and minimum curve length of 50. And when I click on it, it should bring up the job number like so. We're going to pick 001. We're going to hit OK. And again, nothing looks like it's happened, but in reality, our computer has locked up. And so I'm going to restart this thing real quick. And when we come back in, we should have that profile in that drawing. So I'm going to check in the file. And anytime you get blown out, it's really important that you run this cleanup tool that we have. And the main reason is because GEOPAK has a process running, and when you get blown out, that process a lot of times does not end. It keeps on going. And so if I would start up another session of Power GEOPAK, another process would be started, and when there's two processes going, they don't like each other, and it causes some real problems. So it's important that you come into the Bentley folder here under the Start menu and go to Power GEOPAK Cleanup Tool. What that does is that will go out and delete any GEOPAK exe running. And so in this case, it didn't find any of them running, but a lot of times there are ones that do run. And so all you got to do is hit the Enter key twice. It also cleans up resource files. It also cleans up preferences files on the Microstation side. So it does a lot of things, not just deleting the processor. So once that's done, I'm going to go right back into the file. And with any luck, that profile will be there when we get back in. File's opening back up, and again, when we look at our profile, you can now see that that profile has been created. Again, it's a bug that we've reported to the Bentley folks, but it's something that hasn't been fixed yet. So just be aware of that if you do use that best fit profile tool, you might get blown out, but in most cases that profile is created after the fact. Okay, we're going to go down to the Profile Insert Curve area. We're going to select that horizontal linear element, and we're going to open up its profile model. And what we want to do is we want to insert a curve, and so I'm going to go back to my task. I'm going to go to my civil tools. I'm going to go back down to vertical geometry. Again, we are in the 4th row, and with this one, it's the 4th icon over, Profile Insert Curve. And so all you have to do with this one is come up to the straight line and basically just drag it down and insert or locate the vertex. And then once you're done with that, you can insert a curve parameter, or we can actually type in a vertical curve parameter. I'm going to say something like 5 and see what that does. If that's not big enough, you can delete that, maybe add 10 to it, and you can just adjust it that way. Or if you wanted to, you could just place the curve and then after the fact hit F4 to flush out the previous tool, come in here and then just edit the vertical curve parameters. Okay. So if you wanted to, you could come in, instead of doing K value, you could do length of curve, and let's do something like maybe 200. There you go. Next tool is the Append profile element. So let's go ahead and open up this horizontal linear elements profile model. And what we have here is a proposed or a complex element, and we want to add on that line. And so again, I'm going to go to my task. I'm going to pin them this time so they don't close on me. And again, we were in the 4th row, and this one is the Append profile element. It's the 3rd from the right. We click on that. It says come out and locate the complex element, which is this white line. and then locate the element to add, and it's going to be this red line. And then just if you had another one, you could keep on adding, otherwise you're done. So, okay. Alright, next one is the profile reverse transition. I hit F4. I'm going to open up this horizontal linear elements profile model. We've got two profiles that we're going to try to transition between the two of them. And so it's this one right here. It's the second last icon in the fourth row, profile reverse transition. With this one, you got a whole bunch of settings that you can set up, but we're just going to do it kind of dynamically. It says locate first element. We're going to locate that one. It does give us an offset option. Again, we're going to use 0 for the exercise. And then it says locate second element. Again, an offset. Again, we're going to say 0 for that and accept it. And now it says enter the start location. So I'm going to come over here and define where I want that to start. Left click, and now I'm going to define the end location. And wherever I want to do that, I can. And I do have the option to trim both, none, ahead, or back. And we're going to say none to that. Okay, so that's a vertical curve transition between one profile to the other. Next one we got here is a profile offset transition. Again, I'm going to hit my F4 key to flush out the previous tool. I'm going to open up this horizontal linear elements profile model, and we're going to go to this icon here, profile offset transition, and we're just going to follow the heads up display. It says locate element, so we're going to pick that element there. It's asking for an offset parameter. I'm going to go with 10 feet. I'm going to lock it in. And now it's kind of wanting to know where I want to start that at. So I'm going to go all the way to the beginning, and then I'm going to go all the way to the end. And when I'm there, I'm going to left click, and I basically offset that profile up. You can also mirror, but we're not going to do that on this exercise, so we're going to say no to that. Okay. If I hit F4 and click on this element, it knows that it's 10 feet. And if I want to, I could modify some of these and say that if we want to do 5 instead, you can move the entire profile down. So that is the vertical geometry complex tools. The next video is defining elements of profiles, and so that will be the next video.